All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. Now we're going to talk about this unfolding conspiracy that's happening right before our eyes. The Masvidal and Colby and Khamzat and Hunter Campbell, Leon Edwards, everybody's in on it. But we're going to talk about the conspiracy, but I'm going to go way deeper than I have in the other videos, because I already, in case you guys missed it, I predicted they were going to pull Masvidal from the 269 card. I predicted that. Go check the tape. I said it on Sunday. They did it on Wednesday. So there's that. But beyond that, I want to talk about how Leon Edwards is playing this, because Leon Edwards is playing an angle. I haven't heard anybody kind of explain what he's doing, and I can tell you exactly what he's doing. And then I want to talk about Masvidal and Colby, and then I'm going to talk about the UFC, etc. I got a bunch of stuff to talk about, and I promise it's not going to be super redundant from the other videos that I've done about this. Now, if you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell. Now, I have basically come to accept that the people that watch my channel are hardcore fans, for the most part, right? So I talk to you guys knowing you guys understand what's going on. For the most part, I do get some stupid comments, but they're rare. Most people who watch my channel and comment on my stuff are smart people, and not like smart like, here, go write me a thesis on brain surgery. Like smart like you know the UFC and you know the business. So I don't need to like spoon feed you guys stuff. I can tell you guys like, okay, look, so you could take this for granted, this for granted, this for granted, and thus, here's my conclusion. And maybe I got a little bit further than most people, but I could say that very consistently over the last year, I've been proven right basically every single time that I've made a prediction. Like when it comes to the business, not about the fights, but like with this stuff where I'm like, this is exactly what's going on behind the scenes. And it's not rocket science. I just understand what everyone's goals are. So I know what they're doing. Like I know what they're doing because I know what they're trying to get to, because the goal's the same all the time. Okay, so when it comes to this particular situation, obviously they pulled Masvidal because, I'm just going to briefly touch on this again. They pulled Masvidal because right now they still have a very hypeable super fight between him and Colby. The only reason the Leon Edwards and Masvidal fight was made in the first place is because if Colby won and Masvidal won, they were going to do that super fight for a belt, which would make it even bigger. Could have been one of the biggest pay-per-views of all time. It still will be a very, very big pay-per-view, right? But what's critical about that particular equation is that Masvidal, as of now, is coming off 2 losses to Kamaru Usman, right? Colby is coming off of 2 losses to Kamaru Usman with a win in between, okay? So here's the deal. Those are not losses where people are looking at these two guys like, oh, these guys are washed. At all. Like, at all. It is established. Kamaru Usman is the best 170-pounder in the world, without a doubt. Now, people can speculate that Khamzat Chimaev is going to do blah, 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 but that is pure speculation. The guy's fought one guy in the top 15. He has fought 0 people in the top 10, okay? Now, I'm very bullish on Khamzat Chimaev, and I am fascinated by the matchup that is Kamaru Usman versus this up-and-coming unstoppable force. I cannot wait to see that fight. I cannot wait to see that fight. But as of right now, there is absolutely no question who the best fighter at 170 pounds is at all, okay? And Colby and Masvidal having lost to that guy doesn't do anything to diminish who they are, really. Like, it really doesn't. Like, it really does. Like, think about this. If you are the 3rd best in the world at the thing that you've dedicated your life to, right? Like, you've dedicated your life to your craft, and the rankings come out, and there's a measurable way to do it, and they're like, this guy is number 2 in the world. I mean, are you disappointed with your position? Or, a much more important thing is, do you think that the outside world looking and they go, dude, that guy's the 2nd best in the world at that? That's awesome. Okay, like that is the pinnacle of your possible ambitions, I would assume. I mean, aside from, of course you want to be the champion. But being number 2 or 3 in the world is an incredible, incredible position to be in. And that's basically where Colby and Masvidal are, give or take, right? And so this fight is still basically untarnished, okay? But if Masvidal loses to Leon and he's lost 3 in a row, the 3 in a row thing, that is a very different impression to the people who are on the other side looking, okay? That's like, it doesn't matter what he thinks. All that matters is what the group thinks. Where it's like, oh man, this guy, now, this is he's starting to lose now. He's older, he's starting to lose. And what does that do to the Colby and Masvidal fight? It nukes it. It makes it almost unhypeable. Can you guys think of a single time where there's been a blockbuster fight, a huge fight, a massive fight, where one of the guys was coming off 3 straight losses? Never, okay? Never. That's not a thing, right? And so they're protecting their investment. The entire reason they set that fight up was for this fight. All of this. If anybody still doubts that they were going to do Masvidal versus Colby if both of them won, then I take back what I said about you guys being educated viewers about you personally. If you personally now, after this, cannot see that that's what the setup was, then you are in the small, minute group of my viewers that is not one of the people who actually understands the game that you're looking at, okay? Because for sure, that's what was going on. Now, with Leon Edwards, right? So Leon Edwards, he gets hosed again, it looks like, right? It appears like, and here's the thing. I actually think this is happening independent of Leon. So when this first happened, I thought that this is probably all already set up, right? Like this is probably all already set up. And it's possible that Leon is in on this, right? But I assumed like, okay, Masvidal's coming off, Khamzat is going to step in, and that's that. Now, I don't know for 100% sure that they would have that fight completely set in stone because protecting the Masvidal and Colby fight and potentially having them do tough, that is the priority for sure, right? Like that's a fight, that's money in the bank right there, okay? That's how you have to think about these things. That's how you have to think about these fights, okay? Fights like this, that's money in the bank, right? Colby and Masvidal right now is money in the bank. You can start counting your money. You can start, counting your projected earnings and know pretty fucking certain what they're going to be on that fight, okay? And so when you factor in like, okay, well, what happens if he loses? And you're like, well, all that can happen is what we have in the bank right there goes down. Of course you're gonna pull it, of course. So that's the priority, protecting it. With Leon, you don't actually have to include him in pulling Masvidal off. But it's UFC 269, so you got money in the bank over here too, right? Like you got money in the bank over here too that you need to protect, okay? And so I assumed that in order to take this out of here and reduce this money to protect this money over here, which is the priority, you have someone already ready to go in there, which I assume would be Khamzat Chimaev. But Leon Edwards came out and he was like, that's all right, I need the time off anyway. He's like, I'll take the time and hang with my family. And I was like, oh, okay. So maybe he's not in on it, right? But I can tell you right now, he's not saying he doesn't want to fight. That's not what he's saying at all, dude. So let me translate exactly what Leon Edwards was saying in that tweet, okay? Again, just understand everyone's incentive structure and you'll understand what they're doing. I will just go hang out with the family equals I'm not fighting unless I get the exact same deal as I had with Masvidal because he was getting paid $1 million to fight Masvidal. You want me to, here's what he should have typed. I'm not fighting on 269 against a replacement fighter unless I get the $1 million still, okay? That's what he's saying. So, and how do you negotiate? Like if you're buying a car, how do you negotiate? Do you go, I'm going to buy it either way. Listen, I'm going to buy the car either way, but I really would love it if you take $1,000 off the price. They're all, no. Well, please, no. Please, no. Come on. No. It's not fair. It's not fair. I'm playing this thing so nice. I told you I was going to buy it either way, and now you're not going to take any money off? Yeah, no, we're not going to take any money off. That's not how this is. We're not friends, dude. Okay? There's no part of this transaction. I know we were friendly, talked on the phone. Yeah, come check out the Chevy. It's really nice. We're friendly, but I'm just building rapport with you so that you'll be easier to get to buy the thing I want you to buy and to do it for the highest possible price. So we're not actually fucking friends, dude. Like there's no appealing to my good nature. This is business, son. This is business. There's no right, wrong, whatever. As long as I'm not lying to you and selling you something I know is broken, like we're negotiating here. So fuck off with your $1,000 off. If you're buying it anyway, fucking buy it, okay? And so take that into account. So what happens if you're at the same dealership and you're like, I'm not gonna do it, man. I can't do it for that price, If you can do it $27K, I can do it. I can't go $1 over that. I can show you the numbers. I can't do it. It's at $27K or I gotta go, okay? Then you get money taken off, right? So what is the equivalent of that if you are a fighter? Is it, oh yeah, I'll take a replacement fighter for my normal pay. He's gonna have to fight a new bout agreement, right? He's not just gonna you don't just scratch off George Masvidal and then you think that he gets paid $1 million for all his fights now? You think that's how his deal is structured? Or you think he's getting paid $1 million for the Masvidal fight and then his deal, like he's gonna have to sign a new bout agreement. It's gonna be a different number, or it would have been a different number if he didn't pretend like he's gonna walk off the fucking dealership floor, right? Yeah. Well, I'll spend time with my family, dude. I don't need the fucking money anyway. So I'll just go spend time with the family. I'll wait for a title shot. Hopefully you guys are incentivized enough that you're going to still pay me the $1 million. That's what he's doing. Okay. So he's not seriously actually positioning that he doesn't want to fight. He's trained. It's the next event. You think he doesn't want to fight? He already was going to fight Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, dude, here's another thing. Give Leon Edwards some fucking credit, dude. Like, I'm serious. Like, I know everybody's like, oh, he was sitting out for blah, blah. Dude, this guy has fought. He's been down to fight anyone, right? Like, seriously, he's been down to fight anyone. I know I give him shit about his ability to hype fights, but bottom line, he's down to fight anyone. If you think, oh, look, this is why Dana hates Leon. Dude, Leon is not actually saying he's not going to fight. He just wants to get compensated fairly. And if he fights Khamzat Chimaev, that's an even bigger draw than if he was fighting Masvidal. Maybe, actually. That's actually probably not true. Pretty fucking close, though. And it's certainly worth paying him the $1 million to have that fight on the card. And so hopefully he gets the money that he wants, and then Khamzat steps in, and that's that. Now, I would imagine there is a high likelihood that Khamzat's already in, right? Like, Khamzat's in. All you got to do is convince Leon. I would imagine you pay him the same amount of money, that'll happen, right? So that's what we got. Now, the other part of this video that I'm literally like not sure if I should do this, but there's a reason why I'm putting this at the back of the video, because basically there are things I want to share with, look, like my views are pretty consistent, like I go anywhere between about, 18,000 and about 60 to 70,000, like depending on if it's a real big video. Obviously I go over that every once in a while, but that's about the range, right? And so I think about that. I'm like, is this something I can say to a group of people that big without potentially undermining a thing over here? And I think it is. I think this video will probably get around 25,000 views, something like that. And 25,000 people certainly can see this without me undermining anyone, because I want to, like sometimes I do these videos where I talk about what this sport means to me and how, like, why I view it the way that I do and how much I love the sport, how emotionally moved I am by people's performances. And I do that because I'm trying to share it with you guys. Like I want to be able to like give it to someone else. I want other people to be able to feel like they're legitimately going to cry. They're so moved by the sport sometimes. Like I want to share it with people. And that's what I'm doing right here. The next part of what I'm going to say, that's what I'm doing. I'm not doing this for clout. I'm not trying to fuck anyone up. I'm not trying to look smarter than I am. None of that. I'm trying to literally have other people see this the way I see it, because I think this is so incredible, right? And beautiful. And what I'm going to say, again, we're going back to Colby and Masvidal. And the reason why is because basically look at it like this, okay? If you think there's a better than 50% chance that the beef is real, I disagree, okay? So let's just say it's 50-50, okay? Like it's 50-50 whether it's real or not. They were best friends, okay? They were best friends. They came up together, they lived together. Here's the other thing. If you've never had a friend that was really like your closest friend, like the guy that you lived with, okay? I did. Okay, he's still my best friend, but like, I'm married, I have kids, like we don't see each other like we did then, but like we lived together for 7 fucking years, okay? Like I know exactly what their relationship was. Like I watched that stuff, I know exactly what it was. And that's why I'm so absurdly skeptical of the beef is real, because they're with me and my best friend, and these guys, you think my personality is super different from Masvidal and Colby's? Like we've taken different life paths, but you really think that if you throw me in a room, if I'm on Masvidal and Colby's team, we're not friends? Like very similar personalities, obviously, lots of things in common. And so I could say the likelihood that me and my best friend Mike that I lived with forever would have a public beef like this is fucking impossible. Like it's impossible, okay? Impossible. Now, what the likelihood of me and him conspiring to pretend like we had a beef because we thought it was funny, and then also we knew that we could turn it into a fight, we could make money, we train and we fight against each other every day anyway. Why not get paid millions of dollars to do it sometime if we could trick these idiots into believing it? 100% we would do that. Like 100%. So when everybody looks at me like you're just being a crazy conspiracy theorist, I'm like, no, I'm just actually doing the thing that I do, where I assume most people are like me. And I'm saying that in that scenario, there's a 0% chance it would be real and a 100% chance that we would be laughing our asses off and it'd be fake. But the thing is, it's not a joke. The reason I'm talking about it again, and I really want to stress this, the reason I think it's important for some people, the people who can see the sport like I do, or Molly does. I was talking to Mixed Molly about this today. okay? The reason is because if you can see it the way that we do, this is one of the greatest moments in the history of the sport, in the history of like human beings, okay? Like I realize it sounds over dramatic, but I actually don't think it is, okay? If you see the sport the way I do, like the ultimate expression of humanity, like the ultimate test of a human being in every single capacity, what are you fucking built out of? How big can you dream? What are you willing to sacrifice to get there? And what are you willing to risk knowing that the likelihood you get there is incredibly small, fucking minute? What are you willing to give up for that? What are you willing to sacrifice? Like, and are you willing to know that if you don't make it, you have very few prospects, right? Very few prospects in the future. You're all in. Like, and if you see the things like that, if you see this sport like that, and then you just take for granted, right? Like go on a thought exercise with me again, take for granted that the beef is not real, right? That these guys manufactured this. They completely juked it, okay? What that means, it's not a big fucking scam on everybody, okay? What it actually represents is two people, each individually, trying to get to the top, each of them willing to sacrifice everything, each willing to risk having no prospects in the future, each willing to chase being the best in the world in the same weight class, neither of them stars at all at the time, fucking eating top ramen together in a fucking tiny apartment, living on next to nothing, right? Living on next to nothing, and them dreaming to get, each of them individually chasing a dream that's fucking impossible, that is fucking impossible, okay? And they are chasing the same dream in the same weight class, in the same organization. And they're saying, we are going to do this. Like, we're going to do this together. No one has ever done that. Okay. No one's done that, because the guys who get rich are the ones who are the champions and then they hold on to the belt. The guys who make it huge generally are champions. They're in the same weight class. It's impossible for them to both win the way that they're envisioning. It was impossible at the time, right? I mean, yeah, maybe one of them could be champion for a while, then the other one's a champion for a while. It's borderline impossible, right? And what they've done is they have done it, okay? They've done it, and they figured out a way to do it together. That's the thing. The beef that they had, not that that's the only reason that they became big, but it was part of the reason that they became big, and they both became superstars. And they played off each other all the way along, right? It's right under everyone's nose. Like, it's right under everyone's nose. It's all, yeah, they have a super huge beef, but they're both working on the Trump campaign. Like, yep, Colby and Masvidal, the two most bitter rivals in the world who used to be best friends, are both working on the Trump campaign, but nothing suspicious there at all. Nothing suspicious. And the night of the election, Colby is actually at the White House, and Masvidal is curiously not on social media, no pictures. I mean, if I was going to speculate and I was a conspiracy theorist, I would say he's probably at the White House with Colby and Trump. And that's one of the, and then just imagine that, dude. These two guys are winning across the board. And so when they actually fight, okay, like right now, this thing is this is going to happen, right? They're going to fight. They're going to headline. They're going to both make millions and millions and millions of dollars. The majority of the world is going to believe they hate each other, right? And the people who think that they juked it, if they're thinking about it logically, will be even more excited for the fight, more inspired by the fight than if they believed it was real. Because what it represents is the first two guys ever to win together, to do it together when they're fighting in the octagon that night, right? And here's another thing I'm gonna say, like, they've done this a million times. They've trained together 25,000 times, uncountable. Right? So them fighting each other, the idea that this is like, if they're best friends, they're not going to fight each other. What the fuck are you talking about? Do you know how close I am with the guys I train with every night? Like, do you know how close you get with people that you train with? You think that, like, we couldn't go all out for fucking $10 million? You're fucking out of your mind. That's not a thing. Of course you could. Like, of course you go all out. You're going fucking 90% at the gym half the time. Like, at least, well, depends on the guy, but you go all out all the time. Like, that's not a thing. They wouldn't really fight if they were best. It's not true. And one thing that I was thinking about when I was talking to Mix Molly about this, though, is that the fact that it's not for the belt makes it the most perfect poetry in motion ending you could possibly get. And that probably sounds weird to people that all, no, if it was for the belt, it would have been even bigger. No, that's not correct, okay? For the most poetic Shakespearean ending, it can't be for the belt. It can't, because as long as it's not for the belt, neither of them can lose, right? Because their vision was them hyping up to this huge fight together. Neither of them had the vision of beating the shit out of their best friend, okay? Like that's not part of the vision. And if the belt is on the line, one of them has to win and one of them has to lose. Okay, now obviously someone's gonna win the fight, someone's gonna lose the fight, but not in the way where both of them deeply want the thing, right? Both of them at their core, both of them more than anything in the world want to be a world champion, want to stay a world champion, right? Like the deepest thing they have is that. And if that's on the line, then they're not winning together. They're not. Right? One of them has to win and the other one has to lose. And the fact that the belt's not there, they win together no matter what. Like they win together no matter what. And again, so now if you take, like, obviously you made it this far, you're just my hardcore guy, so I can really speak freely on this. Now, if you really take into, like, think through the way all of this played out, and I'm not talking about, you know, the video I did a long time ago where I was talking about them on the radio shows, whatever. I'm talking about the sequence of events relating to fights, okay? Because I saw this all along, and I'm not sure if I said it on the channel, but I saw this all along, and I will do it one more time to lay this out, right? So you have Masvidal, right? You have Masvidal fight Kamaru, okay? You got Colby sitting out waiting. Then you get Masvidal, fights him again, right? Then you have Colby fight him, and then you have Masvidal fight Colby. And everybody the whole time was like, why wouldn't you have Colby and Masvidal fight? All the way through those. Why don't they have them fight each other? And I was like, because this way these guys get 3 consecutive shots at the belt together. Like these two guys, but you know, they're working together. They want to fight for the belt, obviously. Like I'm not saying they wanted it to not be for the belt. I'm talking about as a viewer for the most Shakespearean ending. The fact that the belt's not there, it makes it beautiful. And I bet you in hindsight, when they look back on their careers, assuming that I am right about this, they will understand exactly. As a matter of fact, even if they watch this, they would probably say that's actually an excellent point. Of course they don't want to take something from their best friend, take something like that. But that sequence, it was like, yeah, if Masvidal wins the title, Colby fights him next. If Masvidal wins the title, Colby fights him next. Now, if Colby wins the title, Masvidal fights him next. They had 3 shots to make it for the belt. Kamaru's too fucking good, man. Kamaru's too good. But there's nothing lost. And now these guys get to do it together, and they get to win together. And I fucking love Masvidal, and I love Colby. And this story, like, if I knew for sure I was right, if I knew for 100% sure I was right, I would fucking cry during that video or during that fight 1,000%. Like 1,000 billion%. Because they did it. Like they fucking did it, dude. They've done it. Now all that's left is the countdown and the actual fight. They did it. Like they did it. I would say I'm 90%, at least 90% confident that I'm right. You know? If I was 100% confident, I would cry thinking about it. I really would. Because like I said, that's how I understand what people are going to do, what they're, how are they, in some cases, I just understand what people are incentivized by, but in many cases, I can really put myself in people's position and just live that life. Like I can just live it. It's like, and so I can just imagine exactly what this would have been like. And with my best friend. And fuck, man. That night when they're actually in the octagon fighting, they'll have to keep a poker face, assuming I'm right. They'll have to keep a poker face in case they want to do a rematch and then maybe even a trilogy. God, that'd be fucking brilliant. That'd make amazing. But I'll be looking for subtlety because, man. Anyway, that's what I got. So this is where you guys can call me crazy, conspiracy theorist, whatever. But my track record is pretty fucking good on things like this, isn't it? Anyway, if you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell. Peace.